Hey everybody, Scoutcrafter here again. It's Friday and we have two videos again today because this first video is super long, but what it is, it's what people, some of the subscribers sent in as gifts and things like that. Now I know there are some of you that might not like that type of video, so I'm going to have another video today that's just for a quick restoration of one of the hammers that we got the other day. So if you can just skip this and go right to that one, but sorry this one's so long, but there's a lot of good stuff. Okay, so for starting off today, we had some people send in some things to the show, and I don't want to get too piled up with the stuff, so let's go through it. No particular order, mostly the way they came in at what time. So let's check out what some of the subscribers sent in and some really cool stuff. Let's check it out. Our first batch of fantastic stuff comes from my good friend Tommy Carolla, who I've known over 40 years. I met him in Boy Scouts when we were in Scouts together, and we've been friends since. And his daughter Kelly, who started up a business of doing all kinds of personalization on products and things like that. And you know what's so great about that? You know, when this whole COVID thing happened and everybody was getting laid, you know, she was still working. You know, so it's always good to have a job that can weather, you know, things like that. But what they sent into the show was so fantastic. First of all, 2 shop aprons. Now, you know, I wear shop apron every single time I come into the shop. It's part of, you know, it's the first thing I do when I come into the shop. I throw on my shop apron because it's good practice. And these are real nice because first of all, they're so nice and soft and comfortable. And you can see what it says here on the one, and on the other one, you can see what it says, but they have what I like about these is they got the nice band that goes around your neck that doesn't dig in like the thin ones do, you know, the cheap ones. And then they sent in a Scoutcrafter t-shirt calling this project done. How awesome is that? And then a couple of mugs, and these are real nice because they're the stainless steel type with the silicone seal, and you could hear it. You know what's so nice when you close it? You can hear it just closes so nice. It makes it, you know, spill proof. And this one here is even, they're both insulated, both stainless steel. And this one here has the little latch that you can close it and open it so you can drink. And then if you want to, you don't have to worry about this spilling out. It's really nice stuff. And thank you so much, Kelly and Tom. I really appreciate it. Now, one other thing that Tommy sent, which I just thought is super cool, you know, as a knife guy. You see this here? This is a Klein Tools. And you can see it says Fallen Lineman Tribute Knife. And check this out. This is really nice. And you know Klein makes great stuff. And when I first saw this, I was saying, you know, the first thing you wonder about is, you know, wonder where this is made, you know? Look how nicely they did this. But it is a folding lineman knife. And you can see here, you can open it one-handed, but you could see, look at that. And the quality of this is you could feel it. And you can see there's the logo for the Fallen. It says Honor the Fallen. And you could see here, that's how it unlocks. It's got the clip. But what I like about it, it's so thin. It's so thin. I don't like bulky pocket knives. You know, they're always, this is just so something you would carry. And that hook design is such a fantastic design for so many things. So this is just a beautiful knife. Japan makes such great stuff, don't they? Beautiful knife. Again, thanks, Tom. My buddy Thomas Dement. You've heard that name before. Thomas is out of Nashville, Tennessee. And, you know, let me tell you something. Tennessee and Texas are the 2 hold downs in the United States. You know that, right? And Florida is number 3. But Tennessee and Texas have always been the 2 hold downs. Anyway, so look at these nice set of tools he sent in. He sent in a pair of Bernard pliers. Looks like a lot of times these rods would come off because they were strangely made. You know, that the pins in there, they were threaded with nuts on there. But it looks like all the parts are here. We'll see if we can get that together. Nice little Lacko adjustable, and we like doing adjustables, made in the USA. This one here, you know how I love these pliers. Everybody's like, you're crazy, those pliers stink. I love them. I love these type of pliers. And the slip joint, and here this one's a crescent. You can see there, crescent, and a lot of cool writing on here, you know, special because they say special because see how that was ground. It's a very thin pliers, and that's lovely. And over here we have the CT. CT made fantastic pliers. You can always tell very little slop on these. Another great pair. I love these. And with the knurling, I like slip joint pliers. Nice pair of Kreuter diagonals. one of these type farm wrenches, but these are always fun to clean up because you could do so much with them, especially when there's no writing in there. We could do anything. We can make it a Buck Rogers wrench. We could do anything. And an old farm wrench. And this one looks like it could be a real challenge, right? To get this thing nice again. But I'm telling you, I was looking it over. It can be done. It can be done. This is definitely a vintage one, but really nice stuff. Let me show you my favorite part of what he said. Okay, Thomas also sent this thing. This is a look at this. It's a power driver. You can see here, but I love when it comes in the vintage boxes like it was sent, you know. And you can see here it was sent to S. Zielinski, another Pole from Detroit, Michigan. And there was no zip code, so you could tell how old this is, right? But look, it comes with the, I love when it has the old-time, Oster made this, and it had all the old-time instructions in here. And again, you know, factory service, if you needed to get it serviced, it had a list of everywhere that you could get it serviced. And it showed you what you could do with it, and also all their other tools that they carried. Look how these were made, like tanks, right? But I love when the old-time advertisers, they would do this. You could have it mailed to your house. You would probably see this in the back of Popular Mechanics magazine, and then you would send away, and this is the box that you would get from those advertisements. But look at some of the cool tools here. Can you see that? And the accessory kits, remember here? We always like those. I got a couple of those. The accessory kits here, and all the... I mean, this is the things we used to look at as kids and say, oh, you dream about that. Look at these drills. The style still holds up today. Just beautiful. And so what this was a power adapter driver that would go into your drill, and from here you could screw in your drill bit or whatever, and when the more you press down on this, the more this would spin. So it wouldn't, a lot of times it was difficult if you want to use a screw or something, a screwdriver, a tip or something on a drill. The drill didn't spin down fast enough, and it was high RPM, and if you tried to use it, you know, it was rough. But this one here, you can see here the writing on there, and just a beautiful little tool. I'd like to try this out. It comes with the hex key here, and I wonder what bits that you would put in here if they came with different bits or whatever. But you could feel it. It's, you know, here it's disengaged, and as you press forward, it would engage it. So it was almost like a slip clutch for your drill. But I just love all the paperwork and everything that came with it. Thomas, thanks so much. Great stuff. Okay, our next package comes from a good friend of the show, and you all know him, Ben Moll. Ben's a great guy out of Texas, one of the two states that I love. And Ben told me, he wrote me and he says, John, I got these, the belts. Now, this was first demoed on 357 Magdad. He did a demo on these, and they are the abrasive belts, you know, the fiber belts. And even 357 Magdad had a little issue with the fit, because these are 1x30, which means they should be 30 inches around. And unfortunately, some of the grinders and the belt sanders have a very tight tolerance with how much they could take and how much, you know, it's... And these belts aren't exact. You know, some belts are tight, some belts are loose. These happen to be too tight for Ben's unit, and he said, you know, if I wanted them, and he sent them over. And thank you so much, Ben. These are fantastic, and I know that they're not cheap, so I really do appreciate it. But we'll try them out. I tried it out. It does fit on my machine, but my machine is what do you think? I got a couple thousand hours on that machine. And this comes from Red Label's Red Label Abrasives, and you can see here they put in a little note in here that says if you have any problems or any issues or something, which is always nice. I always like when when they do something like that. But we're going to try this out. There's, unfortunately, sometimes belts will stretch over time, but usually they don't. And you know what's funny? A belt is only put on by a piece of tape here. That's it. It's only a piece of tape that holds this belt together. And I've had belts let go on me, you know, when you're using it. And it's always makes you jump when it happens, but we'll give him a shot and see. I got to ask 357 Magdad if his stretched out over time, because, you know, a lot of times, though, they don't. You know, if they're tight from the beginning, they're tight to the end. So But Ben, thank you so much. Okay, next up, my good buddy Vic Duskin from Alabama. Vic is a great guy, and you know he just started his channel recently, and it's blowing up. It's a great channel. He just has a great personality, and Vic was, you know, I mentioned him on another video when he was appreciative. He just sent this over here. He thought I would get a kick out of it. This is and it looks like definitely a new old stock item. But what's so cool about this, and this is something that, as much as I want to play with, it's almost like you don't want to take it out of the package because, like I said, this is a new old stock. You don't see, and you know it's old because there's no barcode on there. And you can see it's a bicycle wrench, and you can see Royce Union put it out, and it was made in Japan. Okay, so I'm thinking this dates back to the 70s or something, but you can see distributed by Gotham Products Corporation, Brooklyn, New York, 11236. So, like I said, this is an old one. You know, it's I want to take it out, but I don't want to take it out, you know? You ever get that? Because this is something you won't find anymore in the package. You know, I could open it and then put it back in, but this is so nice, and I really like it. He also sent a soda. Him and his dad used to enjoy, you know, they would go have a bottle of pop out in the back, and he collects a lot of, you know, vintage soda and beer signs and things like that. And when you tune into his channel, you'll see it all over his beautiful shop. He has that stuff. But this here is called Double. We don't have this here in New York. And it says double cold, and I'm wondering if it's double. When they say double, is it double the caffeine? Because I remember they did that in New York, but people here are so wound up to begin with, like they were starting to run into walls and stuff, and they had to stop it. So I don't know if this is double the, but double cola. So I'm going to try this out. It looks really cool, and like I said, we don't have this here in New York, and I'm going to have this with pizza. I always love soda with pizza. That's my favorite. Anyway, Vic, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Next up, you know, my good friend Abe Elias from Canada, Canadian's most famous knife maker. And Abe, you know, he was just, he just sold his house, by the way. And, you know, it's funny, he listed the thing. It went like in minutes. It was like a buy it now on eBay almost. And it just went so fast. So he's, you know, he's going to be moving out of his house in a while. And he's kind of looking for a place to, you know, where he wants to move to. Because now he's got a boatload of money. And now he's trying to say, where do I want to live? And obviously New York and California, Abe, are off the list. Forget about those two states. Anyway, we have here, he sent this over here. This is a flap disc, kind of a drum sanding flap disc. And, you know, these were around for years ago. But this one here, you can see it says max 25,000 RPM. That's pretty fast, huh? Now, you know, not too many things that have 25,000 RPM with a 1/4 inch shaft other than a router. But these do work good, and we're going to try this out because he says his friend swears that this is great for taking down casting marks and things like that because it does conform. And these have always been good. And Joe's shop, Joe just did a talking about the one that goes onto your bench grinder. So this is the one that, you know, and these have been around for years. They're really good, you know, so we'll give that a try. But he also sent this, look at this, 1990, 84, 85 catalog from Sears. And what's so funny, I was looking through this real quick. This is about the time when I was looking for tools. So I'm sure that a lot of these tools in here I was looking at back then. And you can remember because they were just starting to get away from the metal and go to the high density plastic. And so a lot of them were hybrids. They had half metal, half plastic. You remember that for the guys that were around back then? You know, with half metal, half plastic. They used to be all metal, and now they're all plastic. So, you know, this was the hybrid time in the 80s. But what I found so interesting about this catalog is, hey, you see the half and halves? I always found that interesting. This was the few, you know, when they were going from, that's when I was getting into tools in the 80s, and I remember a lot of that was half, and they were coming out with all this electronic stuff, which I have over there. I have a radial arm saw with digital, you know, and I got to tell you, I'm not a big fan of digital stuff, but, you know, it was all quality stuff back then, and, you know, this is about the time, but look at the prices. Look at the prices. Sorry. You see that? You see those prices? Now this is 1984-85 prices. So that's because back then we had something called inflation. And And look at that drill press, $4.99. You're looking at that, you go, man, I could get a drill press like that now for $4.99. And this is $84, $85. Yeah, because inflation, and we're going back to that now. I see we're starting to creep up with that, with things are starting to cost a lot more. Like I was telling you about lumber, and you know what everything has to do with fuel. Everything revolves around fuel. When fuel goes up, everything goes up. And you go back in history and look, here's your hammers and things like that. And if you look at the prices here, $29, $25, same prices today. Inflation. So that's what we got to worry about, because it's coming back real quick, especially in the last few months. I don't know what changed in the last few months, but we're paying more for everything, including gas. Anyway, this is a great catalog, and it just makes you, look back at when this is the time when I was buying the tools. Abe, thanks so much. Last up, my good buddy Joel Jacobson. You know him. You heard him before on the channel, from McLean, Virginia. And Joel sent this cool, I mean, I can't tell you how amazing this stuff is. Let me break it down and show you some of the cool stuff that's here. It's just fascinating. Okay, first off, Joel sent some of these screwdrivers. And you can see, you remember these Craftsman when they started to get cloudy like that? And you could smell them. You know how some guys get really offended by this smell. They say it smells like vomit. I don't think it smells like vomit. But I know it does have an odor to it. Well, these are the ones that, when the mixture wasn't exactly correct, and sometimes they would cloud up or something, and they would give off an off-gassing or a smell. And, it was Western Forge, was made in the United States. You could see here WF, but sometimes you had this handle issue. But there are some there are some gems here amongst these. And look at this nice little wood screwdriver here, right? Look at this. Looks like it's a nice solid piece, but these next two are just out of this. Look at this here, the Stanley. Have you ever seen one of these? Anybody ever seen this shape before? This is an old Stanley, and it's marked B. It's almost like a Bakelite. It's not a lightweight. It's kind of a heavy, and has a nice grip to it. This is a beautiful screwdriver, isn't it? I never saw this before from Stanley. Next up, pretty interesting, made in the USA. Look what this is. Can you see what it says? Oh, it says it over here. It says Skew Driver. Here we go, Skew Driver. And you can see how this works. This is a high density, again, almost like a Bakelite, super strong plastic. But look at that. You see how you spin this here, and it's got the bits in here. If you've ever needed an offset screwdriver, this is a gem to have. Next up, really Joel sent 4 of these. These are called scale rulers, and what they are triangular shaped rulers. You can see there's 3 sides, and they were used by architects and things like that. And what they would convert scales, depending on what scale you were using for reading blueprints and things like that. But my first memory of these rulers was in school, when we were told to bring in a ruler. I always brought in one of those wooden, flat, cheap rulers that my mother would get, But there was always some kid that had one of these, and we were always like, let me see that. Because I never understood what all these numbers meant, and it just was such a cool ruler, and you could hold it like this, and so it brings back good memories like that. But really cool. I like these. Next up, Joel sent in this cool Kel-Lite. Have you ever heard of? They were out of Barstow, California. Can you see here? And it was called Kel-Lite, and these were before actually the mag lights came out. These were like super heavy duty. You could see how they were made, and they were all aircraft aluminum. These were like police and law enforcement, things like that would carry these, and super heavy duty. And they're actually, this is heavy compared to for the weight of it. It's a heavy light, and really a nice light here. It's got a standard switch, so you don't have to worry about the click switches, which were always a problem. And I believe this one might have been, it's at least a 3D cell. We got to try this out, but what a heavy duty, nice flashlight. Next up, 2 K&E, beautiful slide rules. Look at these. These are just gems. And if you've, now I'm embarrassed to say, that I don't know how to use a slide rule, and because I just never learned. But the good thing is, check this out. In this one, this is a slide rule for beginners, and the reason I know that, because you see how this works, because there's a book that comes along with it. This is gold right here, because now I'm going to read this. I got to learn how to use a operating a slide rule, and look at the date on this. you could smell it. You know that old type of paper smell? 1928. This was copyrighted in, and it shows you all the things you could do and how to use it. And unfortunately, my math skills are poor, but hopefully this will get me to be able to figure out how these are used. But just, you know, calculators and our phones made these things obsolete, but it is good to know because it's such a cool little instrument, isn't it? And it came with a leatherette case, and boy, this was something back then. They don't make stuff like this, you know. This stuff now has been replaced, but it's still just beautiful. Okay, next up, Joel sent some knives. Now, if you're wondering where Joel gets all this stuff, he is a collector, and he attends this patina show out in Maryland, and he says it's a fantastic show, better than the ones they have over here as far as getting high quality. So he has really high quality stuff. But you can see here, remember, this would have been a kick if we had these back. They just came out after I was in high school. They didn't have these like Leatherman style and whatnot, the folding pliers, and they did come down. They made them less bulky, you know, and but there were so many different like knockoffs and things like that they made. But these do come in handy, as you know, keeping a car or something like that. And then the an old Camp King, you know, these were the knives that we used to be able to afford as a kid. They would sell them at a candy store we had around the corner from us. You would get these type of, you know, they were made usually by Imperial or something, made in the United States. This one here, it's a smaller one, but let me show you what this is for. This is Gerber, and you can see here it's a 97223 model. And what this is, do you know what that is? This is a cutlery steel. And if you've never seen one of these before, this is a special grade steel. And if you look over here, there's little ridges. And basically, this would tune up your pocket knife, because you would sharpen your pocket knife before you went camping or something, but this would make it raised. This would, because what happens is that the edge tends to kind of sometimes fold over a little bit when you're using it, and this would just straighten it out, because you don't want to keep sharpening your knife. And this really isn't sharpening. It's not removing metal. What it's doing is it's straightening it out, and that's what a hone is for. And it puts that razor sharp edge back on your knife. You would see a lot of guys that did any kind of game when they were hunting and they needed it super sharp to cut through game hides and things like that. That's when you would see guys like this have it. Great stuff. Next up, this is definitely something from the 70s, right? This had a roll of stickers that you could put, and you can see what it says here. This would have been great when I was working. I could have put this on the work orders, you know, when they gave you these work orders that were ridiculous. Look at this here. Do you know what this is? The old timers will know. This is a folding cup. And look, I've never seen one with a handle too, so you can drink it like, look at that. Isn't that cool? And this is really nicely made. It looks like looks almost like a stainless steel or something, but just beautiful. Really nicely made. I've had some folding cups before, but never as nice as that. That is just beautiful. You know, as a kid, I spent more time, I think, with these type of pencils than any other type of pencil. This was, my mother bought us a box of these, and look at this. These are Venus colored pencils, and if you've never seen them before, that's what they look like. Okay, isn't that beautiful? And here it tells you it comes with 24 colors, and it tells you the model numbers in case you had to replace them. And you can see here they're all marked and sharpened appropriately, and different colors, and you know what you would use them for. How nice are these, huh? I love colored pencils. You don't see them too much anymore because, and the ones they have, some of them that they have today, especially from a country that I won't even mention, some are just, they're facsimiles of them. You try and use it and they don't even transfer, you know. These are just fantastic. Vintage Venus colored pencils. Now last up, Joel sent these 3 fantastic vintage magnifiers, and as a stamp and coin collector, these are gold to me. And let me show you how these work. I'll show you. We'll start with the small one first, this red one here. It's got a little plastic cap that comes on, and this is for if you want to view film, like slide film or 35mm negatives. You would slide it in here and look up to the light, and this would give you a little opaque lighting, you know, to light up the backlight the image. Also, you could take that off and you could put it over, let's say you put it over a coin here, and then you would put a light, because this is acrylic on the side, you would put a light down like this and you could see how that works. Now look at that nice image that you get through that magnifying glass. You could see, and you can see it. Like I said, you just look through here and the light goes through there. It works really well It's a nice little unit for all kinds of stuff. Next one here, this one's easier to look through because it's a little bit bigger, but you can see how that works, you know. And again, the acrylic sides to help you look through and get a good magnification on whatever you're looking for. Next up, we have this darling vintage little light that you can see it folds up, and it has a switch here. You can operate the switch, puts a light on, and then you could look through here, and you know, you could work on something. You could actually work on it while adjusting the magnification. It's not a super strong magnification, but you can see here you can get some decent, you know, magnification through this light and be able to work on it. So that is super cool. And with a nice little light underneath. You can see how nicely that folds up. You could put this into a backpack or something, or portable. This is all portable stuff. Isn't that beautiful? I love it. So in closing, special thanks to everybody who sent in something. I really appreciate it. And sorry this video went so long, but we have another video that'll be right after this with quick restoration. Anyway, thanks so much. Take care. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye now.